YouTube, how's it going? The GoatHouse is back with my NFL Week 4 score predictions, predicting the score to every game, plus picking each game against the spread every single Wednesday with this video. Straight up picks with the other guys. The GoatHouse already up for Week 4. You see all of our content that goes up every week. Listen in the bottom left. You can check it all out. More to come. Power rankings already up. Join us, like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Follow us on Twitter. Always talking with you guys on there, talking during live games, some bets on there, a lot of extra content. So check that out. Links pinned in the comments for our social media and our sponsors, Liquid IV, GLD shop, code GOAT on both sites. I got the 49ers chain on from the GLD shop. They have all NFL teams and more jewelry. We have a giveaway with them. Links pinned in the comments for that as well. On to the score predictions. So going to go through game by game, give you the score, and at the end, we'll recap who I'm actually picking against the spread. So the first game is a great one. Thursday Night Football. Lions at Packers. The NFC North battle. Battle for the division, it looks like right now, because the other two teams don't even have a win. And both these teams look pretty solid. They're a little beat up, and they're both 2-1. So maybe both teams can get a little healthier in this game. It being in Lambeau, prime time. Maybe sides with the Packers a little bit, and they look like a solid team. I like the way the Lions match up against them, though. I do think the Lions are a little bit better of a team, but that doesn't always matter. But the Packers been winning. I think, what's the number one thing they've been winning with? I think it's pass rush. Pass rush. Rashawn Gary been lights out, and that could be the factor. That's kind of what I'm watching in this game mainly, like specifically, because if they get after Goff, kind of like they've been getting after other teams' quarterbacks, they will win this game. But the Lions' pass protection, that offensive line has been one of the best in football. Like even when Taylor Decker's been out. They give Goff all day. I mean, he's even able to escape and run. We saw him run for a touchdown last week. But so, who's going to win? Lions pass protection, Packers pass rush. They're both very good. I'm leaning towards the Lions pass protection a little bit more here, just blocking in general. But yeah, I'm curious to see how that goes because Rashawn Gary's been lights out. So maybe a guy like that takes over. I also like that the Lions are stopping the run a lot better. So maybe they can, are they going to eliminate the Packers run game completely? Probably not, but they really can slow it down. Which offense am I, trusting to have? They put that full drive to get that big game-winning drive or, to score more points, really. Who am I trusting a little bit more? I might trust the Lions a little bit more there. Again, we'll see who gets healthier because both teams have had some key guys out, and they both have been, they're 2-1. They won 2 games, so pretty impressive. So I'm going to go Lions 23, Packers 20, but that is a fantastic game for the top of the NFC North. Next, Falcons, Jags is actually an early Sunday game because it's in London. Some may say the Jaguars' second home. So, and I'm going to go the Jags bounce back. And both these teams need to bounce back, but the Falcons couldn't get any offense going. I mean, they're usually known for, even there's weeks where their offense is a little disappointing. At least they run the ball pretty effectively, but they didn't even do that last week. The Jags usually do a decent job stopping the run. Pass defense is so inconsistent. Looks so good against the Chiefs and then not good against the Texans. The Falcons don't have much of a passing game. Jags in their second home, and they bounce back, and they get, some good play on both sides of the ball here. I like the way they match up. The Falcons are kind of relying on the run game going crazy and relying on maybe Jesse Bates taking the ball away. I think the Jags are the better team, and I think they get the job done here, 24-17. Just not really trusting the Falcons' passing game, and I feel like both really need to bounce back. I think the Jags are more tooled for that big bounce back here in Week 4 is huge. I'm excited for Week 4 because it tells us so much more about teams than the first 3 weeks. Week 4 and 5 is where you start okay, here's the identity of the team, how it's going to be the rest of the year. So I'm going to trust the Jags a little bit more in that one. The game of the week. It's too bad this is not a Sunday night, Monday night, whatever. Thursday night I'm good with. That's a great game. But I'm going to go with the Dolphins. They're underdogs. I see a lot of people picking the Bills, and I think these are two heavyweights. Bills week 1 against the Jets, take that game, throw it out the door, throw it out the window, forget about that game. The Bills are much, much better in that. They're going to be a legit contender. The Dolphins are a legit contender as well. Honestly, who's a little bit more balanced right now? Even though the Dolphins are considered better right now, they're undefeated. The Bills are probably a little more balanced because their defense is playing out of their mind. The Dolphins' defense played better the last couple weeks, but maybe a tiny bit underwhelming. And remember, they are missing Jalen Ramsey. So, the Bills are home, and they might have more balance. Their defense is playing great football, so that could be a reason for the Bills. It's just very tough to go against this Dolphins offense right now. They're creating so much separation. They're so unpredictable. You don't know what they're going to do. They're going to hand the ball, they're going to throw it. Who are they going to get the ball in the backfield? Now they're using Achane at the same time as Mostert. So that's fun. Tua's playing lights out. I mean, guys are getting really good at separation. And the Bills defense has been playing great. They played Zach Wilson, the Jets. They played the Raiders, and they played the Commanders. And I don't want to take any credit away because the Bills defense is playing great, and they're playing great football in general the last 2 weeks. But this is definitely more of a test. We are also used to the Bills running cover 2, like so much cover 2. And so far this year, without Frazier, they are actually running more cover 3 and man coverage. So it's good that they're mixing up a bit, but the Dolphins have kind of specifically, those 2 coverages have been feasting on it. But the Bills defense is much better than what they've played. But those are some coverages that Tua and company kind of like. Mike McDaniel maybe can scheme some things open. I got a squeaker, as you can see, 27-26. I'm going to trust the Dolphins offense a little bit more. Josh Allen should have a good game, usually does against the Dolphins. Who's going to make that extra play on defense? Yeah, that's the big thing here. So Bills pass rush has been good. Maybe they get after Tua. Hasn't been pressured a whole lot so far. James Cook's been fantastic. Maybe that's the X factor. Maybe he goes off. It could go either way. I was surprised the line is up to 3. I could see the Bills winning by 3, so I guess I can see it. But you think it would be much closer than that. 27-26 Dolphins is what I have. Broncos, Bears. Tough one to pick against the spread because both these teams are both terrible and either one could win. So the Bears getting 3 points, you could go that route. What I ended up with was 26-20. I think the Broncos have, the one positive from these two teams this year is I thought the Broncos actually generated a decent looking offense in the first half against the Commanders. So such a small part of the season so far. I mean, it's only been 3 weeks, and the Bears defense and the Commanders defense pretty decent. The Bears defense is one of the worst ones in football along with the Broncos. I'm just going to trust the Broncos offense to do a little bit more. I'll actually trust their defense, given like who you have to play against, you have to do a little bit more as well. I'm going to go with the Broncos getting their first win. They win 26-20. This is a great opportunity for both offenses to get going, though. Great opportunity. So we'll see who does it. If both can do it, we'll see who comes out on top. Ravens, Browns. I wouldn't touch this one in terms of betting, against the spread. I have the Browns, and there's quite a few like that this week. This week's really tough. I think Vegas did very well with the lines. They usually do, but this week. And the Ravens coming off a bad one, losing the Colts. They shouldn't lose that. I mean, you could see them. Everyone could see it bouncing back, after that when people are doubting them. But they're too beat up in this one. The Browns' defense is playing ridiculous. I think the one thing the Ravens got going for them maybe in the matchup, the Browns run a ton of man coverage, and they do it well. But usually running quarterbacks could have a day against man coverage defenses. You take the receivers downfield, you get the defensive backs downfield and the linebackers downfield in man coverage, chasing guys, and then you run. So that could be a matchup thing that kind of sides with the Ravens, but the Browns are playing such good defense. I think they'll have a game plan. Jim Schwartz done a great job. Myles Garrett and company will get after the quarterbacks. Darius Smith, these guys will get after the quarterback. They're stopping the run very well. The Ravens are very beat up. It's tough to pick them, even though I can see them win. It's tough to pick them. I'm going to go Browns 20, Ravens 17. So that is the Browns covering by half a point. Again, we'll recap my against the spread picks at the end, but that's really cutting it close. There are quite a few on here that I'm really cutting it close to end up being. So these lines are tough this week. Bengals and Titans. Bengals at Titans. I like the Bengals covering this one. They figured something out in the second half against the Rams. It kind of felt like the Bengals a little bit, more like the Bengals. And are they fully back? No, but I think they're going to continue to keep going here. I think it's a bad matchup for the Titans. The Bengals play really good defense. They got the pass rush going last week. Titans' offensive line is very, very bad right now. So they'll get after the quarterback. They're not going to let anybody run wild on them, even though Henry could have a good game. They possibly could take the ball away from Tannehill as well. I think the Bengals went with their defense, but since something kind of clicked in the second half of that last game, I think it could again. The Titans are really good stopping a run, and they got a couple key pass rushers, but their secondary, it's kind of Byard, and the other guys are decent, don't get me wrong, but you can throw on them. Just keep it away from Byard. And I think Joe Burrow and those receivers will be able to do that. So they kind of continue to catch a little more fire here. Titans might be just a much better team at home than they are away. That's something to watch, I guess. We're watching for this week. But this is about the time where teams show their true identity. And I think the Bengals' true identity is more like what we saw in the second half of that Rams game. So I got them winning 24-16. I do like the the matchup for the Bengals in that one. Next, this is a really good game. This is tough to pick. Rams at Colts. The Colts are favored by 1. It's really not that surprising. I'm going to go with the Rams by 3 just because, a couple of matchup things. But there's parts of the matchup that side with the Colts as well. I do think Zach Moss can run very well. The Rams' run defense has been it's been a little questionable, I suppose. And Zach Moss has been very impressive. I think he can play very well. If Anthony Richardson plays, I think that running game in general could play pretty damn well. The Rams are so well coached, though, so there might be, on both sides, not just McVay, Raheem Morris. So there might be, some sort of game plan for the Colts quarterback situation, whether it's Minshew, who isn't, he might be a little bit better of a passer than Richardson right now, but he wasn't the best throwing quarterback in the world. And then Richardson, who's young, so there might be somewhat of a game plan ready for them. But watch for the Colts to run pretty well. Watch for a lot of running clock. The Rams went away from Kyren Williams a little bit more in the red zone last week, which resulted in sacks and resulted in field goals. And they kind of go back to Kyren Williams a little bit more in knowing their pass protection's not that great. The Colts have quite a few sacks this year. So I think a lot of running clock in this one. This one has, you feel like it's potential to score more points, but I think a lot more running clock. And if Richardson plays, that adds more to it. But the Rams, the Colts are 2-1. The Rams are 1-2. The Rams do feel like the more explosive team, though. So again, week 4, week 5 is where we start to really learn true identity of teams. So I guess we'll see, how these teams truly are. I think it's a big game to learn that. So, and one thing I did notice, kind of the matchup. Again, I do like the Colts running game, but I do think the smart coaching of the Rams will have a game plan. But the Colts, we know Gus Bradley's a cover 3 guy. The Colts are going to run as much cover 3 as anybody. And the Rams picked apart the Seahawks in week 1. Now, they are different defenses. I think the Colts have a much better defense. But the Seahawks are also up there as one of the heaviest cover 3 teams. So Stafford, maybe, every quarterback plays well against different coverages. It's interesting. So maybe there's something there. So I'm trying to figure out decide a winner on this one. I just think the Rams are a little more explosive, and maybe they can get some things going through the air that get extra play, even though I didn't know use Kyren Williams in the red zone a bit more than they did last week. So that should be a really good one. Could go either way. 20-17 Rams is what I got. Bucks and Saints, it will be Jameis Winston, but I'm still going to go with the Saints, and they're actually favored by 3.5. I thought I was picking an upset. I come up with a score, really sit down, figure it out, and then I plug in the line, and I'm like, okay, 3.5. Going the Saints' way, I thought I was picking the upset, but they are, and at the same time, they are at home. They typically play well with against the Bucks. Jameis Winston revenge game. It's not like Carr was moving the ball super consistently. I thought Winston moved it at the very end of that last game. They missed a field goal. Kamara's back, so a little more potential to their offense, I guess, being more explosive on the ground or even through the air with Kamara. Makes it a little simplify things for Winston a little bit. And I think the Bucks have been winning with Mike Evans a lot. I think he's been a key to them winning, and for some reason he usually doesn't play well against Marshawn Lattimore, who looks like the best corner in football right now in the Saints. So that is another factor. The Bucks got to get Chris Godwin or somebody going. They got to get him going in this one. Their offensive line also struggling. I love the Saints secondary. Love their defense in general. And the Bucks defense makes some plays. They'll get after the quarterback, which could be key. Create turnovers on your old quarterback, Jameis Winston. I like the Saints at home. I think getting Kamara back, and then for the other reasons I explained, I'm going to go with the Saints 19-17. Quite a few field goals, it feels like, in this one. But that should be a good game. That should be a big game there. Commanders and Eagles, 8 points is a lot. It's really tight around if you're picking against the spread. I got a 26-17. I got a 9-point game, so I end up being just over that. So that is tough because there's a lot of points, and I don't want to be guilty of just basing things off of Commanders last week, which is when you finally played a good team and it was awful, and you're playing another good team in Philadelphia. So is the same thing going to happen? I don't think quite the same thing. Maybe they get those running backs going. Maybe they play a little better defense. We saw Hurts turn the ball over a little bit last week. And the Eagles have really been opening up things like with the run. They run the ball and it opens up everything else. Commanders got a pretty good defense. Could they slow down the run? So there's reasons the Commanders could win or keep it closer. I just think in Philadelphia, the defensive line's so good for the Eagles, and the offensive line struggles, and Howell struggles under pressure. That's kind of where I'm at with the 26-17 kind of, and Hurts will make plays. So 26-17 Eagles is what I got. It's going to be really, a lot of these next few are going to be really tight with the line. The Viking, this one's like a little bit of a trap game with the line, I think, because it's 3.5, and people go with every Vikings game is close. It's right there. So we'll take the Panthers. The Vikings will maybe win by 3, and then you win the bet. But the Vikings are due to, and it still will be close, but maybe be a little bit more comfortable in this one. It sounds like Bryce Young will actually play, which I thought Andy Dalton might have been able to throw a little bit better on the Vikings defense, but an opportunity for Bryce Young to get something going, against a weaker defense. So it felt like they kind of saved him for this moment almost in a way. I don't know if that was their plan, but the Vikings, their defense isn't good, but they can get a good pass rush with Danielle Hunter on top of the blitz. So Bryce Young will see some NFL blitz here, probably the most. The Vikings blitz more than anybody in football, so probably quite a bit of it. So I don't love the Vikings defense, but it actually can make that extra play. And I'm just going to trust the Vikings pass offense here with Kirk Cousins, Jefferson, and company over a young Panthers offense. And then, I think we'll see more Cam Akers and Dalton Risner this week. So 24-20. I actually was thinking about 27-20 because the Vikings are very capable of getting more than 24 points. But I just don't see the Vikings winning by 7 points. I think it'd be closer than that. And the Panthers should get a pass rush on Kirk Cousins as well, which could stall some drives. So I go 24-20. I wouldn't bet on. There's quite a few coming up that I just would not bet on these because the line is so close to what I had the score predictions. And here's another one. I almost picked the Texans to win this game because they're balling right now. I mean, based off the one, CJ Stroud's balling right now. And you have to worry about that passing game. It's like fresh, it's new. It's a 49ers style team with D'Amico Ryans and Slowick calling the plays. The Steelers, saw that week one. Not that the Texans are the 49ers though. But you have to game plan for that pass, and the Steelers do struggle to stop the run, so Dameon Pierce could have a day running, and it kind of can offset some things there. I guess a lot of it rides on who's playing offensive line for the Texans because they had some guys out, and they kind of got away with it last week. But the Steelers' pass rush is a different animal, so you kind of have to go with the Steelers' pass rush. The Steelers, because their pass rush against a beat-up offensive line, so I would go that route. I am not fully trusting the Steelers' offense, though. I think about their offense. I think about both these offenses, and the Texans' offense, it might be more explosive. I think it is, actually, and I think they can make that extra play. So that's a reason I kind of want to go Texans. So this was one of the tougher ones for me to pick this week. It's just, I don't want to overthink things. The Steelers have one of the best pass rush in football. Texans' offensive line's beat up. It's a different challenge for those side, like in the trenches, than last week. I'll take the Steelers in a tight one, 23-20. Texans could win though, so plus 3.5 maybe. Raiders and Chargers really close to the line as well. I'm going to trust the Chargers at home here. Because we know they'll have an explosive offense, and we know the Raiders' defense is bottom tier. So that was pretty much my decision right there. But the Chargers' defense has also been bottom tier this year. You can run or throw on them. So an opportunity for the Raiders to get going offensively. We know Devontae Adams can get going. Josh Jacobs potentially can get going more. So there's a reason for them to win. The Chargers have the better offense, and even though their defense has been awful, I think they actually have the better defense as well. And they have the offensive line's been pretty damn good too. So I will take the Chargers 30-24, winning by 6, but that should be a fun one there with the AFC West battle. Patriots and Cowboys. I have the Patriots winning the Cowboys winning by 8 points, 24-16. So it's going to be tight as well. The Patriots played a tough defense last week, and they moved the ball a little bit, and they kind of stalled once they got past midfield. Their offensive line's been rough, and that's tough going against the Cowboys pass rush. The Cowboys defense didn't look that good last week. I think they kind of bounced back, and they're at home in this one. They're going to get after Mac Jones, and they're going to slow them down. Patriots got solid defense, but I think the Cowboys, they're explosive on offense. They'll find enough ways here. So I think Pollard has a pretty big game. 24-16 is what I got for the Cowboys. Next game is Cardinals-49ers, and I actually had this, and I'll make an against the spread pick at the end, but I actually had this one as a push. I ended up being right on the 14. 49ers 30, Cardinals 16. The Cardinals are tougher. That's where I like the 49ers a little more in this one. This might be a little confusing what I'm about to say to some people, but the Cardinals are tougher than people like you. They're gonna play you tough, and it's obvious, it's evident right now. They're not gonna be a free win like they were supposed to be, or maybe you don't show all your cards. You can show, just go out there and play, and you'll beat them still. No, you got a game plan. You gotta play tough. You gotta be on your game, especially early, because the Cardinals are dominant early in games. So that almost helps with the Niners winning kind of big here, because I think Shanahan, the 49ers, who are the best team in football right now, I think they come out and they know, like, we have to play our best football to start. And the best team in football right now will absolutely do that if they decide to do that, unless there's some catastrophic mistakes or something. So I actually think that kind of helps the 49ers get going and play their game early. So that's where I have them scoring 30 points. And Josh Dobbs has been impressive, but going against the 49ers defense is pretty tough. But yeah, normally just on paper, I would normally have the Cardinals scoring less than this even, but I've been playing teams tougher. So 30-16 is what I got. We'll see who wins early in this game, because the Cardinals have been playing really well there. At that portion of the game. Sunday Night Football is not the best one. I was surprised the line is not double digits. It's -9.5 for the Chiefs. So that's one, we finally got one that is pretty far off my score prediction from the line. So I have the Chiefs winning by 17. The Jets can't get offense going because of the quarterback play. They can't. And you think, they've been playing pretty good defense. They've been playing the Cowboys, and they played the Patriots. And they played the Bills in week 1. So, and then people go, because the Chiefs defense is usually not the best in the planet. So they go, all right, here's our chance to get points. But the Chiefs defense has been playing very, very good this year. They've been tight in coverage, very, very much locked down. Linebackers playing well. Chris Jones, disrupting, passing plays, of course, in the pocket. Not good for Zach Wilson. So I think the Chiefs defense will play well. We know their offense, the offense won't score, and like they did last week against the Bears, because the Jets defense is pretty solid. But if they have opportunities, which they will score points. 27-10 is what I have for the Chiefs. And then a tough one here on Monday Night Football, another prime time for the Giants. This is a tough one. This one can go either way, especially if Saquon Barkley's back. If he's back, it's still in my head, like thinking about it a little bit, but it's one of those ones where I don't want to, when it comes to this pick, they can go either way. I don't want to overthink it too much. The Giants have not been playing good football. I'm still waiting for like some part of their team to step up, like some unit, some part of that team. And they run a ton of man coverage, and they haven't really been good in coverage this year. They've been chasing guys, and the Seahawks, their offense is explosive. They'll beat you with the run or the pass, but specifically that man coverage defense over there. I think guys like DK, Tyler Lockett, even JSN when he's used, they will get separation against man coverage like that. It's pretty simple for them. It's just the Giants will blitz. Will Geno be able to handle the blitz? Will he be able to get the ball out in time? That's kind of the question. But the offense has been playing so well, and they can win with the run or the pass. That's where even though it's tough, I don't want to overthink things. I'll go with the Seahawks. But the Seahawks got to travel all the way to New York for Monday night. The Giants had a longer break. They're kind of due. The Seahawks defense is pretty damn questionable still. Giants, again, had a lot of time to game plan for this. So there's and the Saquon could be back. So there's reasons, and the blitz could get home. There are reasons the Giants could win this game. There are definite reasons, and where I thought about it. I'm just going to trust the Seahawks more. I'm going to trust their offense a little bit more. 26-24. It's a really good game on Monday night, though. Really good one. So that's what we'll go with for those. A lot of tough games this week, and here we'll talk about my against the spread picks. We'll kind of recap those, but I love week 4. Week 4 and week 5 is really start to see, because the first 3 weeks, and sometimes week 4 falls under that category too. First 2 to 4, it depends on year. Weeks, like, teams kind of lie to us, like what they're about. Like, this is where we kind of start, not fully, but start learning teams' true identity. So I'm excited. But recapping my against spread picks, I'm 28-18 on the year. Last week wasn't as good as the other weeks, but overall it's a pretty good record, I'd say. The Lions, I got -1, and they win that game against the Packers. I got them winning by 3. Jacksonville, I like the matchup for them. I have them winning by 7. They're -3, but it is a little tricky, I suppose, because the Jags have been playing bad. But I think they can bounce back. I have the Dolphins winning, and they're +3. The Broncos, there's a lot that I just wouldn't touch this week. Let's just be straight up. The Broncos, they're probably not one of the ones that like definitely don't touch, but it's a tough one. I have them covering. I have them winning by 6. I have them winning the game, obviously. The Browns, I definitely wouldn't touch. -2.5. I have them winning by 3. It's going to be right around there. The Ravens could win. Cincinnati I like covering the 2 against Tennessee. The Rams +1. It's a coin flip of a game on who wins the game. And +1 is right there next to an even line. The Bucs +3.5. I have the Saints winning, but the Bucs definitely could win that game, and they're getting 3.5. So right over that 3 mark, they lose the game by 3. You're good. Eagles -8. It's a lot of points. They should cover it, but that's a lot of points. The next few, I wouldn't touch the Vikings game. Could see them winning. They could see them losing. That was a tough part because the Vikings have been finding ways to lose. So they could just do it again against the Panthers and lose the game. So first glance, it's like, so would you just take the Panthers could win? Wouldn't you just take them +3.5? But when you look at it that way, you want to take the Panthers. But I sit here and predict my scores, and what I come away with is 24-20. The Vikings covered by ½ a point. And it's a game they just should win because they're just far more explosive, and the blitz can cause a young quarterback some issues. But for the reasons I just explained, I just would not touch that game with the line. Texans +3.5. I wouldn't touch that one either. The Texans could win that game, but the pass rush also could be a big problem for a young offense of the Steelers. The pass rush could be a big problem for them, and the Steelers can win big. So Chargers -5. I have them just covering that. And I probably wouldn't touch that one either, but that's one where I think the Chargers will just cover. Like, I'm pretty, like, right there. Like, they'll just cover that. Cowboys -6.5. I have them covering, obviously, but that's another tough one as well, because which Cowboys are going to show up, because they looked really bad last week. Cardinals and Niners, I actually had a push. If I had to pick against the spread, I would take the big points there with the 14. But like I said, the Niners, we're going to watch film, and I'm going to say the Cardinals are better than we thought. They play teams tough, especially early. So the 49ers, Shannon's going to be telling these guys, we have to play our best ball to start this game. The 49ers' best ball is better than anybody in football probably. So that could help them win big, actually. I love the Chiefs -9.5, and I took the even line. I had Seattle against the Giants, but that game is, I think, a coin flip game. And who wins as well. So those are my against spread picks. There's some very tough ones this week, and this is where like the season starts to change every year, where it's like, all right, teams lied to us the first few weeks, so we learn a little bit more. So that kind of makes betting a little tougher too. So I'm excited about this week though, for sure. We have a best bets and locks video that comes every Thursday, so that'll be after this video. And if there's like big changes like to the lines or injuries or my predictions, I'll make this video kind of again, but with the updated predictions later in the week. I only did that 1 week, so 1 out of 3 weeks so far this year. So always, keep that in mind. Stay on the lookout for that. Turn notifications on. That'll help. But check us out on Twitter. A lot going on there that you're missing out on as well. Links pinned in the comments for that and anything else that you're looking for. Please like, subscribe, turn notifications on. But that is going to do it for this one. Thanks everyone for watching. Goodbye.